I was falsely accused by my girlfriend's son of SAing him, and now she won't accept that I don't want to be with her anymore. Posted by you/throwRayno confused. I know that's a hell of a title, but it's been a hell of a situation, and I know a friend gets great advice on here, so I've decided to see if I get the same. Basically, I, 36M, had been with my girlfriend, 29F, for over a year and a half, and things were going great. She has a son, 7M, from a previous relationship, whom I had not only met but was also fond of. I wouldn't say I was stepdad material by any means, but we had a little friendship going. The dad is in and out of prison in the kid's life, so I'm the only guy he's had who fulfills any real, decent male role model figure. Me and her were even talking about living together. A few weeks ago, I got a visit from the police, and they arrested me for SAing her son. I was bailed on the condition that I wouldn't go near them, and as a result, I was placed on gardening leave at work. Last week, I got a letter saying the case had been dropped and that I no longer had to attend my next bail hearing. That was it. I called the policeman in charge of the investigation, and at the time, he said he couldn't comment too much as there was still an active investigation, but basically, her son confessed that he had made it up and that I was innocent. To say I was mad, shocked, and confused is an understatement. A couple of days later, I had one drink too many and called her to confront her. She answered, all apologetic, and explained that her little effing nephew, 12M, I've always hated this kid whenever I met him. He's so disrespectful, always getting into trouble at school, getting into fights, etc. Did it to her son at a party they went to a few days before I was arrested. When her son confessed that someone had SA'd him, he panicked and said it was me instead of his cousin. I guess being questioned by the police scared him, so he finally told the truth. I was so disgusted that I just hung up on her and deleted my social media so I wouldn't have to have anything to do with them. She's been ringing, texting, and emailing me, saying that even though she's so sorry for putting me through all this, she can't be too sorry because she wanted to protect her son. But she really wants us to get back to where we were, and her son misses me too. He's been crying, saying he's hurt me. She said this could make us stronger and that we could have a good future together. I haven't answered at all. I have nothing to say. I'm thinking of ghosting her. I can't lie and say I don't have love for her or her son, but honestly, I'm way too hurt. I'd always know that she once thought I did something so unspeakable to her son, and I'll also never be able to forget that his lies, no matter the reason, could have wrecked my life. And I'd never want to risk running into her nephew again. I never, ever want anything to do with him again. What should I do? Reddit? Relevant comments. Commenter. Her son was actually SA'd. She could probably see the distress in him, that much was true. She probably did have doubts that it was you, but she did the right thing by letting the police handle it. If you want to come back from this, you can. Couples counseling feels like this sub always suggests that, or at least take it slow for a while. But it's okay if you don't want to. However, do have a bit of compassion. Her son was actually SA'd and was scared. He didn't make it up out of spite but panicked, knowing that blaming a family member would cause all kinds of problems. Maybe go and meet them once or write the kid a letter. What I'm thinking here is that, on top of everything, the kid is going to feel guilt about splitting you two up. Tell him you're sorry about what happened to him and that you know he was scared, that you don't blame him for what happened, but you need a fresh start. Op's response. I get where you're coming from with showing compassion, I really do, but at the same time, think about what's happened to me. The police came into my office, arrested me, handcuffed me, and led me out in front of my colleagues before forcing me into a police car. I spent 12 hours in a police cell, was interviewed multiple times, and bailed on the proviso that I don't contact her or her son. I've been put on garden leave at work, with the likelihood of being sacked for damaging the company's reputation, and I will likely struggle to get a job in my field again. My colleagues have also started removing me from social media and ghosting me. I'm not sleeping, losing weight, and having frequent anxiety attacks. I wish I could have compassion and want to see them again, but at the same time, I'm too hurt. Can Op tell/show work the case was dropped to false charges? In my work's eyes, it doesn't matter. I've got a big meeting with my manager, regional manager, HR, etc., on Monday to determine whether I have a job or not. Even if I'm in the clear, their argument is that our job is a public-facing role where we do a lot in the community, and if they keep me on board, it could damage their reputation by having me work there, even if I'm legally innocent. Their reputation comes first. Op gives a detailed response to a commenter. I have been wanting to reply to your post meaningfully for hours because you express things well, without calling me a monster or a horrible person like many others did, but I was so drunk when I first saw it that I thought I'd get some sleep, sober up, and come back to it with a clearer head. However, please be aware, this little guy with whom you began building a genuine and healthy relationship went through an experience that traumatizes to the core. And then, faced with immense pressure, he panicked and named you. If you walk away from this little guy with no words, no forgiveness, this will become a defining moment in his developmental mental health and affect not only his relationships moving forward but possibly his ability to function if the guilt and shame grow. This part is what's cutting me very deeply at the moment. You see, I've mentioned in another post that I sadly can't have biological kids of my own, so I had resigned myself to the fact that I'd never have a deep and meaningful relationship with a child. But then he and his mom came along, and I started to really bond with him, and he with me. I wasn't his stepfather by any means, but I did feel genuinely good things toward him and would have gladly taken on that role. But then this happened, and it has cut me to the core. Honestly, it's affected me just as badly as the professional aspect has. A lot of people have said that he lacks the intellectual capacity for reason that an adult has, and I get that in my rational brain, but my emotional side isn't quite so quick to forgive yet. As many times as I tell myself I would be open to making contact and saying I forgive him, the anger and resentment over what's happened to me, my arrest, my health issues, my relationship fading away, and what's going to happen to me in terms of my career and finances, stop me from being able to do it in an honest way. I don't think I could even lie and do it at this stage. I know I just wouldn't be able to. I can't say I'll always feel this way, maybe months or years down the line I could, but I'm not able to at this moment. Other people who have commented here have said I need to do it ASAP as it will affect his development, but they're not the ones in this situation. How else could she respond? And again, I understand that in my rational, sober mind, but the emotionally hurt part of me still feels that, regardless, her actions ruined my life. Whatever you choose, forgive the little man, and give his broken and tormented heart and mind some peace. I think I could only do that when I find some peace myself. Yes, someone pointed out that I have a fully developed, nearly 40-year-old mind, but what has happened to me will affect me for the rest of my life. If I ever get into a relationship again, I wouldn't want to be with someone who has kids because I wouldn't be able to trust them. Update 3 days later. I want to thank you all for your advice, well wishes, and criticism. This is an update on 2 fronts. Firstly, I met up with my girlfriend. She rang me, and I answered. She asked if we could meet on Sunday night. Normally, I wouldn't have answered, but because she called from a withheld number and I was pissed, I said, yeah, alright. When she came around, I was all set to go in guns blazing and tell her to F off. But when I saw her, I felt emotional and broke down. She did too. We hugged tightly, and she kept saying how awful I looked and how much weight I'd lost. She apologized repeatedly. She said she had to report me because her son seemed so distressed, and as a mother, she couldn't ignore it. But she admitted that, in hindsight, she knew I wouldn't have been capable of what he accused me of, and she hadn't been sleeping or thinking straight, knowing what I must have been going through. Apparently, once her son admitted to the police that it wasn't me but his cousin, the police got a confession out of her nephew. He said he had been SA'd himself and was only repeating what had happened to him. I couldn't just be nice and understanding. I told her I didn't give a crap. She seemed quite stunned by this, but since she could see I was really distressed, she didn't argue. Basically, she wanted to know where we go from here, saying she loved me so much and asking if I could move on from this. She also had a letter from her son. Apparently, he's been really unwell and was devastated about what he had said I did. He asked if I would read it. I don't know what happened at that moment, but I got really angry. I said I couldn't read his letter. She got pissed and said that he's only a kid, that he's been struggling so much, and asked if our relationship meant so little to me. I felt completely effing blindsided and told her it wasn't my fault that he accused me of being a PDF file. After a lot of arguing, raised voices, and hurt feelings, I agreed to take the letter but couldn't promise I'd want to reply. I mean, his accusation is likely going to ruin my career. She said she was done at this point but stressed how much she loved me and asked if I could ever forgive them. I told her I couldn't promise. She also felt awful that I was likely losing my job the next day. We hugged, kissed, and left it there. On the subject of my work, it's bittersweet. When I arrived for my meeting, I briefly saw my colleagues, and they were treating me like literal garbage. One woman, who has been like a work mom and mentor to me, instantly looked down her nose at me. I tried to talk to her, but she just walked off mid-conversation. Several others looked at me as if I were the worst human being ever. When I got into the meeting, it seemed like I was just going to be sacked and that was it. But I'm a pretty good negotiator, and I managed to fight back until they agreed I wasn't to blame at all. Basically, we worked out a deal where I resign, but they give me a great reference. They also agreed to pay me in full for September and October and give me a £1,000 car bonus so I can buy myself a car. I'm due to go in and formally accept on Thursday. It's horrible because I've had to resign after 5 weeks of hard work and training, cutting ties with a place where I really gave it my all and felt like I had a future, all because I did nothing wrong. Relevant comments. Commenter. Show the letter to your bosses. Do not take any deals. They may not want to fire you once they learn the truth. Talk to a lawyer, but if they do fire you, you may be able to sue them for defamation of character. Ops response. They've seen it, but I still got the sack. The argument I have is that even though I'm innocent, because it got out on social media, I'm bringing the company into disrepute. Even if I can stay, I don't want to work for them after the way my colleagues have treated me. Commenter's response. I think you should still consult a lawyer before signing any agreement. You did nothing at all, so how could you personally bring the company into disrepute through your inaction? You have no control over what other people say. Losing your job would also constitute financial losses, which you could sue for if you can make the case that it was a wrongful arrest. Second update 5 days later. Please, mods, I hope this is okay to do. I've had a few requests to provide a final update. In response to my last post, I basically decided I wasn't going to take it lying down and accept their proposal. I messaged my managing director ahead of time and told him I thought he should be there for the meeting. He and I always got along well. Long story short, I told him I was taking legal advice and consulting a local employment law specialist. He claimed that the regional bosses and HR had kept him in the dark. Funny, that, isn't it? And he said he was going to be in the meeting. When we got there, he was extremely apologetic and said he would deal with them personally. They all looked really sheepish. Basically, we worked out a deal. As a settlement, I received a full 5 months salary on top of my current month, a £3,000 car settlement, and my usual 5% bonus of my salary. They'll also write me a glowing personal reference. Honestly, I was considering taking legal action, but I just want this to be over, so I accept it. Hopefully, I can move on professionally. On the subject of my now ex, I decided to read the little boy's letter. It was more of a note, but it basically said, "Dear ex, I'm sorry, I love you. You're my best friend," or something like that. If I were a cold person, I wouldn't feel bad. But I'm not at all, and I hadn't had a drink for a couple of days. So I sent him a note in the post too. I basically said that I was sorry for what happened to him and hoped he could forgive himself in time. I also wished him kindness in life. I also called my now ex and told her I wanted a clean break and was ending it. She was really crying and said she was sorry. I told her I forgave her and acknowledged that she did what she had to do. She said she truly loved me and would have carried on with me if I wanted to. I ended it there. My cousin, whom I was considering staying with, is on holiday, so I've booked a 3-week trip to Inverness starting Monday, and I'm going camping. Hopefully, I can make a clean break. Third update 1 month later. Okay, so I still get so many people messaging me, asking what happened, so I thought I'd post an update here. I was going to just block her and walk away, but a commenter on my last post mentioned that she might misconstrue my taking time away as only a temporary break and think I was leaving the door open for reconciliation, which I didn't want. Despite everything that happened, I still care for her and didn't want her to suffer. I went to her house to tell her in person. I basically said that I needed to end things and cut all contact indefinitely because of everything that had happened, that I could forgive them but never forget what they did. She apologized again and said she still loves me, then asked if I loved them. I said no, and she went hysterical, so I left. I blocked her on everything, deleted my social media, and went on my holiday to Scotland. I was only supposed to be there for 3 weeks, but I ended up staying nearly 4 and just got back yesterday. A friend of mine, who knows both of us, spoke to me today and said my ex has been badmouthing me, especially on her Facebook, saying that I've abandoned her and her son, etc. I don't care, I'm looking to move anyway and start fresh, so at this stage, it doesn't bother me. Relevant comments. Commenter. She loves you so much that she's trash talking you? That's not love. Be glad you escaped with minimal damage. Ops response. I think, with all that's happened with her son's accusation, the damage is a lot bigger than most realize. I'm glad I got out before even more happened, definitely. Commenter 2. I'm glad you came out on top, and we're not reading and I know it's a bad decision, but I took her back, and we're very happy post. You overcame the truly insane roller coaster she put you through. She can talk all the crap she wants, but you're better off without her and the people gullible enough to believe a word she says. A question, though, was she a one-off lapse in judgment when picking a partner, or do you have a pattern of choosing women with similar faults in the past? Ops response. Oh, she was definitely a one-off. Before her, I'd been single for a while, and we initially had a sort of one-night stand/hookup that progressed into a relationship. I'd never dated someone with kids before, either.